What's up, everyone? Riley here, and welcome back to the latest segment of Overkill Reviews, BangerTV's weekly heavy metal review show. If you haven't already, make sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and check out that dang Patreon. I'm actually pretty excited about today because it's not often that I get to talk about two bands at the same time. It's like a 2-in-1, or like as Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys would say, we're gonna get two birds stoned at once.
Get two birds stoned at once.
Frankenstein, Austria, just another corpse the devil bless.
Another death investment.
High fidelity H&R block, another cop knocking on our door asking, can we please start existing? Found my face missing, I scream, I'm right here. I scream, I'm right here. I'm right here, but they don't believe me. They don't believe me. They don't see me. Ghost currency already spent.
Bombing imminent.
So this is SUMAC and Moor Mother and their collaborative release called The Film, and it is out April 25th, 2025. Double bio. So now if you're not already familiar with SUMAC, they're an atmospheric sludge metal band made up of 2 Americans and 1 Canadian. They formed in the year 2014, and they have had 4 full-length records come out before this collaborative release. One of them just came out last year. We have Brian on bass, who you may know from the band Russian Circles. We have Nick on drums, and then we have our vocalist and guitarist, Aaron Turner, who has also had various other projects, but I personally know him from the band ISIS, because ISIS put out a record in 2004 called Panopticon, and it changed the trajectory of my life. So here I am, following every little thing that he does. And now Moor Mother is a musician that goes down all sorts of creative passages in her works. There's been jazz influence, and it's avant-garde, and noise, and indie, and post-punk, and within all of those different dynamic incorporations that she brings in, it's almost like every release is a bit different, or every track is a bit different. She had a full-length come out last year called The Great Bailout that had a lot of focus and subject matter around the Slavery Abolish Act of 1833 in the United Kingdom and the history of slavery connected to and within the United Kingdom. So with these 2 projects being so immensely mega in their dense creativity and provoking thought, let's see what they've got going on. Now, not only is Moor Mother an incredibly creative experimental musician, but she often joins that with this outstanding level of activism that oftentimes is expressed through poetry. So on this album, we have this unification between your musical, artistic, creative side, and then we have the side of action and advocacy. And usually within those types of things, when they meld together, you get something really powerful and influential and emotionally impactful in its composition that's informative and moving in an unorthodox way outside of ways that you probably normally absorb the world around you, like academia or mainstream media. So the vocals aren't typically what you would see on a normal music release, where there's some melodic and harmonious performative singing. The majority of the vocals on this album are a verbal experience provided by Moor Mother in this staggeringly dense, weighted, poetic diction of really heavy emotion on topics like capitalism and violence and oppression. And with these heavy topics, she's able to manipulate her voice to match that and essentially puppeteer your experience as the listener to feel that pain and to feel that pressure, so you really ingest it and start to understand personally the intensity of what they're going for.
Love has been reinstated. Nobody told me. Nobody told me how love was supposed to be, how peace was supposed to be, how to be. Nobody told me.
So Sumac and everything Aaron Turner has ever really done has done wonders for my own psyche, with my own creative passages and inspiration. So this ended up really being nothing different to that. So from a project that's already really down-tuned and heavy and full of so much noise, witnessing them really go into this with no generalized structure and being able to follow Moor Mother's abstract inflections, it's really impressive. It truly ended up being like a what came first, the chicken or the egg type of deal, because the fluidity of how these two loud, strong, full on components are able to come together and they feel like one breathing entity that were never two separate things is really impeccable. And similar to how Moor Mother brings that density with her voice, Sumac is easily able to match that with their shift in their riffs and these long instrumental passages that are simultaneously pretty complex and sometimes really minimal in order to impactfully create and immerse you within the atmosphere. There's loads of reverb, there's distortion, there's huge crescendos, and the consistency in that oppressive doom to constantly maintain that overarching theme of what is the film is great. And Aaron even breaks out into harsh vocals at one point, and they bring in other artists to just throw another fucking spanner in the works as well. There's a beautiful guest appearance from Sovi with these whimsical vocals on scene 4. We have Candace Hoyes, who's featured on Hard Truth, and Kyle Kidd on scene 3. And of course, Moor Mother plays around a lot with like wicked synths in there too.
Bomb levy, even though there's no longer water here, dried up atmosphere. Be careful, ghosts haunt here. Legacies of fear wrapped tight. With nothing but free time, free falling, and you don't know what it feels to be me. In the heartbreakers, the heart attack wasn't the broken hearts. Well, one thing for sure, it was the blood stepping in the name of love. Bones trapped in closets, death deposits. All countries vote on how long we live and how long we die.
So not only are there 100 little pieces in there making this well-oiled, loud machine go, but it has more of a purpose than just being a record, because it is called the film. So its intention is to be taken and seen as one unified composition, broken down into different scenes, each scene telling you a different part, setting a different scene, provoking a different thought and feeling as you go through it. And they did such a great job at just that. And naturally, the same way that a film moves from one scene to the next, I would recommend experiencing this album the same way as well, in one whole sitting if you could, or bit by bit, because otherwise I could imagine it would come off super disjointed or super confusing, considering the lack of structure and a really large feeling of improvisation within the whole thing. It's not going to be one of those ones where you're like, yeah, I like this record and I'm going to throw on that tune. It's a big all together meal meant to be there in one sitting. So it's thought-provoking, it's sludgy, it's crusty, it's emotionally heavy. It feels like this magnum opus level expression that really defies any sort of typical expectations or constraints that you could or I could have on music and what you can and cannot do with it. There was in fact a lot of times that I got goosebumps, and having physical reactions and feelings in my emotions while I'm listening to something is really, really impossible for me to ignore, because it's not something that I commonly experience. So that's a thumbs up. So basically what that translates for me is that they were successful in creating an informative and stimulating experience that is just what it is. It's an experience. And the only reason I'm not going to give this a 5 out of 5 skulls is because it is overwhelming and it is formidable at times. And it definitely isn't going to be something I reach for and just put on in the background or seek out for my own musical satisfaction. But it will be one of those albums that's ingrained in my psyche forever and will probably lead me down a path of thinking about how I can break and express outside of my own creative boundaries. So with that being said, we're going to go with a 4.5 out of 5 skulls today on Overkill Reviews. Yes. So first up, I've got Ungraven. They are a 2-piece doom sludge project from Liverpool in the United Kingdom. They had their first full length come out on April 18th, and it's called Hollows Made Homes in Their Sunken Cheeks, and you can catch that on Heavy Psych Sound. It's got 2 tracks. Both tracks are about 20-ish minutes long, so if you're into that really lengthy, drone-esque sludge with guts, then this is the one for you. Next up, I've got Ancient Death with their first full-length album, Ego Dissolution. You can catch this one April 18th as well, but via Profound Lore Records. Profound Lore always has the good stuff. Always. Ancient Death is a 4-piece death metal project from Massachusetts. They've got whammy dives and soul-crushing technicality for everyone. And last, but certainly not least, I've got Toronto-based blackened post-death metal band A Flock Named Murder. They have their newest album out on May 2nd. The drums on this album sound really good, and the tracks are lengthy and really heavy with a lot of emotion and atmosphere. I've followed these guys for quite a while, being from Canada, so it's really good to see their improvement and development as artists. So make sure you give that one a listen too. And that's all I've got today, and I will see you next time.